You're watching KCCI, Channel 8, Des Moines, Iowa's news leader, and home of live Super Doppler. This is KCCI News Channel 8.
One minute you're doing a routine thing, and the next minute you're in a life-threatening situation.
3 officers had a split second to make a life-and-death decision. Tonight, investigators are making sure they made the right choices. Good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight. Investigators spent the day piecing together the events of yesterday's robbery, chase, and shootout in Urbandale.
They have identified all 4 suspects now. 56-year-old Terry Simmons and 24-year-old Jeanette Freeman are both charged with first-degree robbery in connection with the holdup at the West Bank office. 45-year-old Charles Simmons and his 47-year-old brother Paul died after a short chase. The whole incident took just a few minutes to unfold.
Now investigators are making sure the officers made the right calls. News Channel 8's Eric Hansen talked with officers about what they have to prepare for out there every day, and it's not every day they're preparing for something like that.
Definitely not, Cynthia. The 3 officers who fired shots yesterday have a combined 25 years of experience, and when life and death situations are unfolding right in front of you, it's that experience that officers rely on.
In 1 second, can you tell which weapon is real?
This is one of the actual weapons.
Police say the suspects pointed that weapon their way after Tuesday's bank robbery and chase. It turns out that top weapon is a BB gun. The lower weapon is a real gun officers sometimes carry on patrol. They say the getaway van's driver, Charles Simmons, walked toward them pointing that BB gun.
At the same time, Paul Simmons, who was still in the vehicle, pointed his weapon at officers. All 3 officers fired upon the 2 suspects.
It all happened so quickly. Within 4 minutes after the chase starting, it was over. 2 people were dead, and officers had made countless split-second decisions.
You're preparing yourself for it each and every day that you work, and you take the experiences from yesterday, and you make sure that you move yourself in the right direction so that the next day you're better prepared.
While investigators check out the quick decisions these 2 Urbandale officers and a state trooper made, all 3 are on paid administrative leave. That's common after a police shooting. But a case like this points out how officers have to be prepared. 1 minute, they're stopping speeders. The next, they're looking down the barrel of a weapon.
Law enforcement is 99% boredom and 1% sheer terror. And that's just a real good synopsis of what happened.
The 3 officers involved in the shooting will remain on administrative leave until the investigation is wrapped up, and there's no word on how long that might be. As for the suspects, they will remain in the Polk County Jail while police keep searching for answers. Incidentally, police say that they purchased the getaway minivan just 1 day before the robbery.
All right, thanks, Eric.
Sad news coming out of San Diego tonight, where police say they may have found the body of a little girl who has been missing for 3 weeks. 7-year-old Danielle Van Dam was last seen on February 1st. Volunteers have been searching the area for weeks, and tonight they found the partially burned body of a child alongside a road in eastern San Diego. Investigators tonight say it appears to be Danielle Van Dam.
The body has a plastic necklace around its neck, similar to the one seen in the missing person flyer that's been distributed throughout San Diego County with Danielle Van Dam's picture on it.
Prosecutors have already charged Danielle's neighbor, David Westerfield, with her kidnapping and murder.
In Texas, Russell Yates took the stand today in his wife's defense. He testified that Andrea tried to commit suicide twice before drowning their 5 children. He said she suffered from severe postpartum depression but had stopped taking her medication. Yates has pleaded innocent by reason of insanity. A Tama County teenager will be sentenced tomorrow for the death of her child. Nicole Plum pled guilty to child endangerment and involuntary manslaughter. She could face up to 12 years in prison. The newborn baby's body was found in Chelsea over a year ago. The state medical examiner ruled the baby died of strangulation.
Authorities fighting a house fire northeast of Des Moines say it is the 2nd time they've been at that location in the past month. The fire happened about 9 o'clock tonight at 4446 Northeast 27th. Firefighters say no one was at home at the time. Police were here 2 to 3 weeks ago, rather. That time it was a meth bus. The fire caused heavy smoke and water damage. State workers should be preparing for more cutbacks following a controversial vote tonight on Capitol Hill.
Iowa House members voted to cut the state budget and use only part of the state's rainy day fund. News Channel 8's Todd Magel is in the newsroom now with that story. And Todd, the state's money problems continue.
They do. In fact, Iowa's bank account, if you will, is still about $120 million short this year. And that's why we're seeing these last-minute cuts that make the governor angry.
There is a better way to do this.
Governor Vilsack says foster and adopted kids like these are just some of the losers in the state's budget battle. Furloughs approved by lawmakers mean fewer state workers, and that means trouble for departments like the Human Services. The governor was hoping lawmakers would save jobs by borrowing $120 million from the Rainy Day Fund.
I'm just basically making a last-ditch plea on behalf of the children and families of this state that we don't have to do this.
Cut out that $12.8 million.
But the Republican-controlled legislature would rather use just a part of the reserve fund and make up the shortfall with budget cuts. It's more tough medicine for the state.
If we spend $120 million now, how do we spend that same $120 million to make up that shortfall next year? Dip into the reserve funds again? Well, when do you eventually pay that off?
Now, the House passed a budget bill tonight with a new amendment, so that means the Senate has to take another look at the bill before it goes to the governor, and Governor Vilsack says no matter what, the bill is what he calls the lesser of two evils, and we'll have to wait to see what he does now.
All right, Todd, thank you.
And Governor Vilsack says all the budget work is putting the English-only bill on hold. A group of protesters held a vigil outside the governor's mansion tonight. They say the proposal is unfair to immigrants. Iowa lawmakers have approved the bill, but Vilsack has not said whether he will approve or veto it.
Have you taken a gander at the full moon out there tonight? If the skies are clear where you are, you might want to take a peek yet tonight because it is the brightest moon of the year. The folks at NASA say the moon is as close to the Earth as it gets in its elliptical orbit. Not only is it 20% brighter tonight, but it appears 9% larger than normal. Our John McLaughlin would tell you, if you asked him, that the moon is at its perigee tonight, a mere 221,500 miles away from good old Earth.
I was out there about 7 o'clock and saw it right on the horizon, and it was just huge. It was amazing.
You almost needed sunglasses.
Yeah, you almost did, John.
Or moon glasses.
356,000 kilometers, I believe.
Okay.
Which is 50,000 kilometers closer than when it's at apogee, which is the furthest point from the Earth in that kind of egg-shaped orbit around the Earth. Let's talk about school night temperatures right now, and it's very beautiful out there with the clear skies. Most areas, 22 Rockville City and Webster City, 23 here at KCCI and down southern Iowa. Just a bit cooler tonight, 21 in Sheraton and 20 in Winterset. Your weather headlines, we're going to be looking at temperatures in the 30s on Thursday, but we're watching a southern storm which could bring snow to Missouri and maybe even southern Iowa. We'll be watching that track as there's a lot of uncertainty now. We'll detail that in just a few minutes.
Yeah, John had some scary figures, especially for the folks down in Kansas City you were showing me earlier, right?
Yeah, we'll show that here in just a little bit.
Thank you, John.
And still to come tonight, should airlines consider things like race and nationality when they screen passengers? Listen to the lively debate on Capitol Hill today, coming up.
Speaking of things lively, the gals from Moulin Rouge were there, and so is our own Jeanette Trumpeter, who won, who lost, and what they weren't wearing at tonight's Grammy Awards. It's still to come. There's Pink.
Here are tonight's winning Powerball numbers, courtesy of KCCI News Channel 8. You're watching KCCI News Channel 8 at 10. Iowa's news leader. With Kevin Cooney, Jeanette Trumpeter, Heidi Soliday Sports, and meteorologist John McLaughlin with exclusive live Super Doppler weather. This is KCCI News Channel 8.
Music's best and brightest stars were there, of course, but what else would you expect from the 44th Annual Grammy Awards? It is called the biggest night in music, and tonight it lived up to all the expectations.
Lucky Jeanette Trumpeter got to see it again all in person live in Los Angeles tonight. How can we even ask? How was it, Jeanette?
It was fabulous, Kevin and Cynthia, and as promised, it was more performance than presentation of awards. 17 performances in all, although you actually might be able to say there were 18, because even though the red carpet's rather empty now, it sure was busy all afternoon. As usual, the Grammy show began out on the red carpet long before the primetime coverage began. The costumes, characters, and the cameras are always entertaining, especially if you're from Des Moines, Iowa, and walking the red carpet for the first time.
This is a dream come true. We can't believe we're here. We're having the time of our lives.
truth is, everyone seemed to be having a ball.
Now let me show you the shape of my heart.
Void of controversy, the 44th Annual Industry Bash was simply a celebration of music's best.
I think it's really well balanced this year. I'm really proud of the organization. Well balanced, meaning that everybody's represented.
The evening was filled with an aura of cooperation and collaboration, outside on the carpet and inside on the stage.
And it was so easy living day by day, out of touch with the rhythm and blues.
And the Grammy goes to
A place that has to be believed to this sea.
It's still an extraordinary thing to behold the sound of a rock and roll band in full flight. Stop dressing me with your eyes.
It's up to us to choose whether we win or lose, and I choose to win.
Woo! Cool. Highly unexpected.
Highly unexpected, but a fabulous night overall. We do have a little bit of bad news. Our local boys, Slipknot, did not take home the Grammy tonight. They lost to Schism by Tool. But like they say, there's always next year. And, you know, of course, we have more fun than we have time, and we have all kinds of things we want to show you. But guess what? We'll have a whole wrap-up of everything that we saw here in L.A. tomorrow on the News at 10. Kevin and Cynthia?
All right, Jeanette, now there are a lot of big parties out there, I bet.
Oh, one or two, I think. I think these folks are headed somewhere, getting their pictures and headed to the parties.
All right, well, you go along with them and have fun, Jeanette. Thanks a lot.
All right, we'll chat with you tomorrow. Thank you.
Lots of security at this year's Grammys, and the same goes for the nation's airports. Coming up, the debate over passenger profiling and whether it's the best way to ensure airline security.
And could another snowstorm be brewing in the Midwest? We'll check your details next.
This live Super Doppler 8 forecast is sponsored by your local Jeep dealer. Keeping Central Iowa ahead of the storm. Your live Super Doppler 8 forecast.
Look at the beautiful, well, nearly full moon right now. Moon came up tonight at about 6:37. This picture was taken a little bit earlier, I believe, tonight. But again, it's about 50,000 kilometers closer than it is when it's at its furthest point from the moon. And what would Creedence Clearwater say about that? That moon on the rise. Let's talk about current conditions right now. 20 the temperature, partly cloudy skies, winds out of the south at about 7 miles per hour. The wind has been light all evening. Dew point is just 4, so the air fairly dry, 49% relative humidity, and the pressure falling, but again slowly at 30.08. Let's take you on a tour of some of our SchoolNet weather stations in beautiful Adel DeSoto Minburn tonight with southerly winds at just 6 miles an hour, 22 degrees currently. Emerson Elementary in Indianola, one of our first SchoolNet weather stations at 20 degrees. And we'll take you on down to our very latest one, Sully Christian, a big bash we had there last night. Southerly winds at about 7 to 8 and also 22 degrees. Excuse me, SchoolNet temperatures. And now on to statewide temperatures. And we'll see readings in the lower 20s up around the Algona area. It's been a little bit warmer out in western Iowa today. Temperatures currently at 31 in Sioux City, 29 Council Bluffs as the southerly winds are taking effect there. 29 the high today, 8 this morning. No precipitation and none expected, although we could get just a few flurries as we have some moist clouds that will be moving over the region tonight, but no accumulation of precipitation is expected. That may change a little bit later on in the week. For tonight, a very weak system moving across, mainly clouds. Cold front passes through by tomorrow afternoon. Ahead of that system, though, south to west winds, and that'll mean a little bit warmer, and then as the front moves through mid-afternoon, starting to cool off a bit. But this area out here, area of low pressure, will be developing, and I'm going to kind of step you ahead in time and jump to about 7 o'clock or so for Thursday night. And there will be an area of snow developing across Nebraska, and we'll go ahead and animate this through time. And by Friday at 6 p.m., all the projections are for a fairly heavy swath of snow to be developing across central Missouri. As it gets into Missouri, southerly winds will start bringing in some moisture, and the northern edge of the snow band you can see is right at the Des Moines metro area. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Right now it looks like the heaviest snows will be south. We actually plotted the potential accumulations of snow, and this line in here is ½ inch, but as you move into northern Missouri, the accumulations could mount rapidly to excess of 8 inches around the Kansas City area. So we'll keep an eye on this. Again, if this would shift a few miles north, hopefully not, or a few miles further south, hopefully so, we will look for potential for more or less snow depending on what happens. 13 for tonight. Again, some flurries possible, but no accumulations of snow through the overnight. For tomorrow, warmer, at least slightly, 33 degrees with westerly winds becoming northwest during the late afternoon. And your 5-day forecast, we're talking about that chance of snow across about the southern third to half of the state on Friday afternoon. 24 degrees, Saturday 25, and then we start to rebound a bit early next week as we get back in the upper 30s. We've had kind of a cool couple of days and maybe a chance of snow later on in the week.
And a rebound again.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks, John.
You can get more behind-the-scenes details about the winners and losers in tonight's Grammy Awards in tomorrow's Des Moines Register. And a special Register report offers new information on just how a captured fugitive eluded the FBI for 20 years.
And read where Des Moines' first gated apartment community will be built. Profiling passengers for airline safety, is it rational or racist? I'm Alex Lee in Washington. We'll have that story coming up. Do you have the characteristics of a terrorist?
So today, Congress was looking at the increased practice of profiling airline passengers. Washington reporter Alex Lee takes a look at how your rights can be balanced with the new realities of terrorism.
We have established a system that is not getting the job done.
Lawmakers and most experts who testified at today's House hearing agree passenger profiling must be improved. The current computer-based system flags people at airports based on certain criteria. For instance, those who buy one-way tickets may be subject to extra scrutiny. But it also selects passengers randomly, and some say time is wasted searching low-risk people like the elderly and children.
We do random selection in the hope we're going to hit a terrorist. Now, it turns out the odds of that lottery are almost identical to real lottery systems.
Civil rights groups also say profiling discriminates against certain ethnic and racial groups, including people of Middle Eastern descent. But one legal expert suggested nationality should be included, as long as it's one of many profiling factors.
You can't simply ignore the fact that much of the threat that we're facing since 9/11 is regionally centered.
I think what you're suggesting is dangerous. I really do.
The former head of security for the Israeli Airport Authority suggests having security officers profile by questioning passengers to assess behavior. In Washington, Alex Lee, News Channel 8.
Now, instead of profiling, the ACLU is supporting the use of alternative security measures, including 100% bag matching, limits for carry-on bags, and better training for security staff. Sports is coming up next, and there was a Big 12 Top 10 showdown tonight in Ames. Iowa State versus Baylor in women's basketball, destined to be a barn burner.
And we'll hear from the Hawkeye women as they head into the Big Ten tournament. Sports is next.
Tonight's 8 Sports is sponsored by your local Lincoln dealer.
7 women's basketball teams in the Big 12 are rated in the top 25, 2 of them being Iowa State and Baylor. They hit the hardwood at Hilton tonight. Baylor bringing a streak of 10 wins in their last 11 games. But the first half went the way of the Clones. Mary Smart like a fox hitting the 3 just before the buzzer, 50-41 at the half. Coach Bill Fenley putting some special hair gel in for senior night. Nice look, Coach. Tracy Gahan hitting the 3. She had 15, 57-45. Iowa State. I'll take Angie Welly in the center for the block. I'm way behind in the highlights. There we go. Actually, I'm ahead in the highlights. Angie Welly. It was going to be a good highlight. She finishes off with 36 points, 13 rebounds. That is a career-high 36 points. But the Bears come back and spoil the night. Baylor winning 95-91. Cyclones will face Nebraska in their first-round game of the Big 12 tournament Tuesday at 8:30. The winner playing Colorado. It was last year at this time that the Iowa women put together a phenomenal run. A run which would carry them all the way to a Big Ten tournament title. This was the scene at Carver Hawkeye this afternoon as the Hawks went through one of their final workouts before they depart for Indianapolis Thursday morning. That's where the Hawks will face Indiana in a late morning tourney opener on Friday. Here's Iowa captain Jenny Lillis.
I think that we can always play a little better, and I think that's that's a lot of mentality of the people on our team, is that we can always do better. But I do think that we're playing well at times, and we're playing together, and we're having fun.
There's a lot of teams there that are going to be in this tournament that have never won the Big Ten tournament. And they don't know what it's like, and they don't know what it takes, but we do. And trying to use some of the confidence from those type of situations. You know, our players want this. You know, it's like, until you taste filet mignon, you don't know how good it is. Well,
I don't think I've ever had it. Really? The Hogs play the Hoosiers at 11 a.m. on Friday, the game on Fox Sports Net. The Iowa men are also hoping to recapture Big Ten tournament glory when that postseason event moves from the United Center in Chicago to Conseco Fieldhouse in Indy. But first things first, the Hawks have a little rematch this weekend with Michigan State to close the regular season. Back on January 22nd, the Hawks nipped the Spartans 75-71. Good times have been hard to come by since then, and Coach Steve Alford can feel a sense of urgency, especially with short-term seniors Luke Recker and Reggie Evans.
There's been a lot put on them, and they haven't been here to grow in this thing for 4 years. And but yeah, I've sensed that urgency, and hopefully that urgency is filtrating throughout our team, because we're like every other team. As the days go by and the games go by, you get closer and closer to being won and you're done. And you better be prepared for that time when it gets here.
It's Iowa and the Spartans at the Breslin Center Saturday afternoon. The Kansas Jayhawks are living up to their #1 ranking. Tonight, the Jayhawks took another step toward finishing unbeaten in Big 12 play. In the Battle of Kansas, the Jayhawks hosted the Wildcats. Kirk Heinrich, are you kidding me? He hits the three, 28-16 Jayhawks. This one never close. Heinrich weaving and finding Drew Gooden. That's called a dunk. There's your Big 12 champs from Kansas. Jayhawks win 103-68. 16 district finals in boys basketball were held for the small schools tonight. North Mahaska plays Linville Sully. These are not the Grammy winners from Moulin Rouge. You could have probably guessed that. North Mahaska leads by 10 at the half due to Kurt Stout's help, but Linville Sully comes back in the second. Keith Worley with the hoop. Linville Sully winning 70-68 over North Mahaska. Some quick NFL news. Bill Romanowski, longtime Denver Bronco linebacker, he is going to the Oakland Raiders. Signs a 7-year deal with all sorts of incentives.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Not a lot of movement on Wall Street. We'll be right back.
Today's market report is sponsored by the Des Moines office of A.G. Edwards & Sons.
In the true spirit of astronomy and meteorology, John was rooting for Train tonight in the Grammys, weren't you?
Drops of Jupiter was the song. We're relating to the younger audience tonight. 33 for Thursday, 24 Friday, chance for some light snow, and a little warm-up early next week.
Younger audience or older audience, I didn't even recognize Christina Aguilera tonight.
I did not either. I tell you.
I didn't recognize Billy Joel.
Well, there you go. We all agree.
Thanks for staying up late with us. We'll see you tomorrow.